If you're looking for some graphic novels that aren't filled with boring old humans but have some kind of magical twist, then you've come to the right place. Here are 3 graphic novels about monsters and magic. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Stick around to find out how to snag yourself a free premium membership. Hello there everyone, my name is S Comic Maker, and if you're new here, often on this channel we have explored character designs, OCs, and stories that have to do with witches and magic and things like that, and honestly, it's definitely one of my favorite genres. I have tons of books in my house that have witches, goblins, mermaids, ghosts, and all kinds of mythical beings, so I thought it would be fun to talk about just a couple of them today. If there are any books here that I didn't mention that you would like me to talk about in future graphic novel reviews, let me know in the comments. But without further ado, let's get on with the first book. The first comic I'll be talking about is Kaiju Girl Caramelize by Spica Aoki, which is a shoujo manga. The premise for this one is just too cute. Kuroe Akaishi is a high school student who suffers from what she believes to be an incurable illness where when her emotions get too big to handle, particularly about love, her body starts to transform into a monster. She finds this out about herself early on when she's a kid, which leads to her being closed off from people and leading her to having the name Psychoton by her classmates. She's considered a weird loner until the popular boy in her class, Arata Minami, tries to befriend her. But as their feelings start to lean towards romantic, Akaishi can't hold it in any longer and becomes a full kaiju. I'm talking a hella cute Godzilla here. And I'm not gonna go past this as far as the main plot is concerned because of spoilers, because honestly, this is such a fun, sweet, and adorable series that you should definitely read if you're into shoujo manga. I was initially really captured by how cute Akaishi's design was when picking this one up to read and immediately fell in love with it. Currently, as of this video's release, there are 4 books in the series available, and it's just starting to get into some plot that's past the initial romance, so I'm excited to see what comes next. For my doodle, I decided to draw Akaishi eating the delicious, fluffy pancakes that she so desperately wanted to try at the beginning of the series. It's such a cute scene and gives the reader one of the first peeks into her real personality past the closed-off girl that we're first introduced to. As I suspected, she was a blast to draw in color. I tried to go with some softer-looking line art and coloring to capture the shoujo vibes with this one, and I think that it came out pretty cute. I'm not too good at drawing monsters, so I decided not to draw her kaiju form for this one, but I think if you give this one a read, you'll see just how cute of a kaiju Akaishi really is. The next magic book of monsters we'll be taking a look at is Beetle and the Hollowbones by Aliza Layne. I've had this one for a while on my special shelf of books to actually get to reading and decided to finally crack it open when I was trying to decide on a theme for this graphic novel review, and boy am I glad that I did. This story was such a lovely read and is actually becoming a trilogy. The next 2 books are coming in 2024 and 2025, but in the meantime, let's talk about what this one's all about. Beetle is a goblin witch who is homeschooled and doesn't seem to take her studies too serious. She's more into fantastic sorcery magic than she is boring potion-making goblin magic and seems to be bored with it. Speaking of bored, it's time to hit the mall with her best friend, Blob Ghost. But when I say bored, I really mean bored. The mall is super outdated, and really there are probably much better places to hang out with your best friend than the same old stores. There's just one problem. Blob Ghost is literally stuck to the mall with some kind of curse and can't leave. Beetle doesn't mind as long as she still gets to hang out with her bestie, but there's another problem that hits when Beetle's old friend Cat comes back into town. She's studying sorcery under her very powerful aunt who wants to tear down the mall. Beetle, Cat, and Blob Ghost attempt to work together to save the mall because it's Blob Ghost's home, and that's all I'll say about that. This story was so colorful and the characters were an absolute delight to see interact. I really loved all their designs. There were a couple moments where the paneling would go across both pages without indication to the reader that kind of tripped me up once or twice, but it wasn't too bad and didn't destroy my experience. Overall, like I said, I loved it, and I'm so glad I finally got a chance to read it because it fits so well into this list. If you like cute characters and stories about friendship, you'll definitely like this one. Amazon says that it's geared towards 8 to 12-year-olds, but there's a lot to love for adults here as well, especially artists that love some really pretty colors. I know for myself, I will definitely be picking up the next 2 novels when they come out. For my drawing, I decided to draw all 3 of the girls together, Beetle, Cat, and Blob Ghost. I really enjoyed Beetle and Blob Ghost interactions and felt like I got to know them well as friends, and I also liked that Blob Ghost was the catalyst for Cat to stand up for herself and her beliefs. These 3 were a joy to read, so I enjoyed drawing them together immensely as well. I mean, just look at that ghost. That's a cute ghost right there. It was really fun to color this one too because their color palettes are just so different from each other. This series in particular really got my gears turning for my own stories. Sometimes I really wish I knew how to better structure my stories for my own characters.
But as comic maker, you have a great resource to do just that.
I do?
Yeah, it's Skillshare, who's the sponsor of this video. Are you tired of being bad at things? Well, it's time to get good, gamers, with Skillshare. You see, Skillshare is an online learning community with so many classes, if you blink, you might miss one. They have classes on how to make the best banana bread, how to make a rhinestone fringe bandana, which sounds like banana, and I like that. And all kinds of other things that don't relate to bananas, like painting and photography, stuff like that. It's curated specifically for learning, and there are no ads, so you can dive right into the videos with no waste of time.
Banana Man, typically I recommend art classes that they can check out.
You mean to tell me that this isn't art?
No, I mean,
get back to your books, woman, and let me handle this. Anyway, as I was saying, if you're looking for a class that's really gonna get you inspired, then I recommend Bananarama, How to Paint a la Prima with Oil Paints by Joanna Hatner. I mean, it's a whole video on how to paint a banana like some kind of art master. She goes on about how to get the lighting on that banana just right, what colors and supplies will bring out the best in your banana, and how to clean your brushes well after a long, hard day of creating a glorious potassium-filled masterpiece. If any of this has piqued your interest, and I'm sure it has, I mean, look at all this great content. Anyway, you're in luck. The first 1,000 people to click the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so that you can explore your creativity. So give it a try and get inspired by some beautiful banana goodness, and thank you so very much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. There, wasn't I great?
Yes, absolutely. I'll take over from here.
Good idea. I need a break after being so awesome.
I'm sure you do. The last book on our list today is Super Mutant Academy by Jillian Tamaki. After reading her book this one summer, I was itching to find other work by Jillian, so I went searching and I came across this series, which was actually a webcomic series that Jillian posted to her Tumblr in the early 2010s. In this series, there is basically short comics about a bunch of magical and mutant students and their high school life. It's kind of described as a slice of life comic cross between X-Men and Harry Potter, which I think is pretty accurate. Except it's weird. Like, really weird. A lot of the humor is short and strange and doesn't always play from the students and their abilities like you think it would. Like, there's a student that is just cat, and then there's also another student that's a cat girl, but like not the size of a regular cat, and the cat boy licks himself in it's weird. It gets really weird. It's hard to explain. But then there are even simple comic strips that have to do with typical thoughts that teenagers go through during school. I think it's pretty good at capturing what it's like to be a high school student that is just trying to get through schooling so they can finally live their life, only to realize the structure of school is gone and you have no idea where to go next. I'm not sure I would recommend this one to everyone, honestly. On my first read, I found it hard to get through the first couple pages as you're really getting the feeling that this is an experimental webcomic for fun, but you warm up to it as you continue reading and start to get to know the characters. It's definitely for late high school readers and adults because there's some very interesting themes here. There's a 40-page conclusion story at the end of this book that wraps up the students graduating and having prom and stuff like that honestly was the most fun part of reading the whole thing. And I found that when I finished it, I had finally read enough about the characters to want to read more, only for it to be over. But if you're a Jillian Tamaki fan, you'll probably enjoy this one. There's some good humor here and some very fun characters. Just keep in mind it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I liked it a lot. For this illustration, I drew Wendy and Marcia, who we spent the most time with through the book and ended the story with. They were definitely some of my favorite characters and felt the most real in the series, so I drew Wendy hovering over Marcia and commenting on the book that she's reading. There are some moments where the book gets little bits of red color, so I thought that it would be fun to add that here as well, and since Marcia has a crush on Wendy, it just made sense to include that here. Then to kind of get a similar vibe as the series, I also decided to use a brush pen for this one, and I think it came out alright. If you want to know or try out any of the supplies I use for these drawings, or want to know about the artists and where you can find these books, I'll leave everything in the description of this video. But that's it for this one, guys. Like I mentioned before, if there's a comic or graphic novel you would like to hear me talk about or make a doodle of, be sure to leave a comment. I've been enjoying combining multiple books into a video instead of just going one book on its own because it makes it easier to share more stuff that I've been reading with all of you. As always, videos like this are possible because of my amazing banana members and people like you who like, comment on, and share my videos. I appreciate you all stopping by, and I hope that we can draw together again soon. Bye, guys.